Do we want to comment on some gymnastics?
Yes, Lenny, I want your comments on Simone Biles.
Hey, how about we go to the comments section? This question is for Aaron, even though they spelled your name incorrectly. Quirt. Did you like the Supersuits?
No. In short, no. They should never have been allowed.
Hard stop.
Yeah, hard stop. No, well, we know what cheating is, and there are hard rules with regards to what you put on your body, and if you put something on you that makes you float and not really sink during a race, you are not. That's performance enhancing. You know, in a way that we might not feel is acceptable. And then, you know what, I mean, everyone can argue it. I have an interesting, this could go on for a bit longer, but I also, in that same token, do believe we took it back too far. I don't think we should be just wearing, I think there is a professional aspect to the sport. And I think eliminating the suits for men and women altogether are not good. I think materials are different and variable. And there is a difference between, you know, neoprene that is very fast and buoyant and the permeable materials that men and women are wearing now that you can put over your body. Other aspects of that too, like sponsorships on people's chests, that go a long way for swim companies and people making money. And it was FINA's poor leadership and an understanding of what to do in the moment, and they let too much slide and they didn't handle it in time. And so the sport paid for that.
Aaron, you always just used to wear Legskins, or at least in 2009, I remember you set the world records in the Arena X Glide Legskins. Was that because you was making a little bit of a stand to what you just said and about it being almost like cheating, or did you just prefer Legskins?
I did not swim well in a full bodysuit. It didn't allow me to move my body the way I wanted to. And I struggled with wearing a suit at all like that. Mm-hmm. and not for ideological reasons. And those suits did help. They did. And I've never really tried to have that be a secret. But I have a record from that era. It's an interesting point in that, I know how I was feeling that year, and I knew I was feeling good for my own self. But that suit was fast, very, very, very fast. And they did make a difference. And so, I sometimes would daydream about showing up to that race in a brief, because it's like, you want to meet that moment. And I think that everyone wants to, and you want to do that. And we all want to in that sense. So those should never have been allowed. Never have been allowed. But that was a little bit weird here.
I have a theory that it helped people that weren't like as fit either. I felt like some people, it helped the buoyancy and to suck them in.
Yeah, that's why it was terrible for me.
That's just my personal.
Yeah.
But I didn't wear one at trials, and it was the biggest mistake of my life.
Yeah.
So I can also say that.
Yeah, you're right, Carrie. I think that they instead of being the top 3 or 4 that were good, it was the top 15 all of a sudden. And so the field was broadened, and it changed things it did some good things. It shook up the world of companies, the swim companies within that period of time, and companies that no one knew of, like Jacket and Blue 70, were competing with Speedo.
Yeah, that's right.
And there were good things, and it could have transitioned better into something good, but the people making those decisions freaked out. and so they made a hard stop on all of it, and it was poor judgment and leadership on the front end and the back end of the people making decisions.
How much influence did Michael have on that? Because he came out and was just like, "Yo, I'm not wearing any of this stuff."
You know, as much as a lot of people, not really though. I think there's other things going into it. There's sponsorship stuff. There's guys who, if they do wear this suit, they will get sued. You know, it's not even like ideological at a certain point, perhaps. And so it was complicated. And so you had people who were struggling with this. And throughout the year, we're watching records getting broken, and we're putting these suits on and diving in 10 meters and coming up and going, oh, this is so illegal and so wrong. and you didn't even have to swim. You just knew it. It was so fast. And I have 10 of them somewhere put away just because they're like, you know, it's just like, you know, you put one on and I haven't put one on in 10 years, but they're there. And just because they're a unique thing for an era. And it was well, yeah, a whole other conversation, man. For
Well,
sure.
I think the answer was the best answer I've ever gotten out of, hey, what about the Supersuits? And you have a record. What do you think? Very thoughtful answer. Thank you.
Sure. No, you're welcome. I was I helped in my race? Yes. Was I having a good year where I was going to do much better than I had in previous years? Probably yes. And I think a couple of things put that together. And so it makes my view of what I did interesting. And I do see what I did as being really good. What would I have done if I had taken that suit off? That's a really good question. And if I had worn a brief, what would I have gone? You know, or just the jammer that these guys are wearing today.
Sure.
And I have a number in my head, but it's conjecture. And I, you know, it helped a little bit, but it didn't. I don't think it was going to do for me what it did for the bottom five.
Well, let me say this.
If I can add, Aaron.
Go for it.
If I can say something about that, and in terms of how fast you think you could have gone or would have gone, I remember it was probably 98 or 99, and I was talking to Salo, who was coaching you at that time, Dave Salo, and Salo said at that time, I really think Peirsol one day will go 152. And that, I mean, we're talking 7 or 8 years before the suits era really started. Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, Salo saw something and saw the greatness that you showed every day that he experienced it. So, I have no doubt that you still would have been in those low 152 in that 200 with or without a suit.
Thank you. Well, that's interesting, and it's so I sleep okay with it, understanding that I knew I think I'm capable of something pretty close to that.
Yeah,
you know
here's my opinion on this, Aaron. Because I get this a lot because we've got the men's world record in the 100 freestyle and the 50 freestyle, so get a lot of shit for that as well. But here's what I would say to people. How many gold medals did you win, Aaron? 5?
Yes.
And Lenny, you got 4?
Yes.
So I'm watching gymnastics now. If you put everybody in whatever they're wearing, if you put the whole field in that, Lenny Krayzelburg still wins 4 gold medals and Aaron Peirsol still wins 5. I mean, that's just the bottom line. You put Cesar Cielo in whatever else the field is in, Cesar Cielo still wins the race. That's the way I feel about it. He was the fastest man. He was the best competitor at that time in sprint freestyle. That was just the bottom line. He was the best. no one was beating Aaron Peirsol. I don't care what you put him in. No one at the time was beating Lenny Krayzelburg. I don't care what you put him in. So the times to me is like, yeah, okay, it made him swim faster, and we have some more records that I think can be broken. They really can. But the best person won those gold medals in my mind. I don't have any doubts about that.
Well, yeah, but I agree with you, and I still think that there's a thank you, I should say, but I still think that we need to strike a better balance of progression within the innovation within the sport on the technological side with suits. We shouldn't have stunted it like we did, and a lot of companies left because of that, right? And so you had like Nike, who was like, we're out at the time, and Speedo was like, we can't keep up, and FINA messed up huge, and they never really were held there. They weren't really held to task like they should have been. And so there is a way to correct that, because I do think that the innovation that the suits provided, as long as there were hard rules lines we do not cross, one of those being this aspect of buoyancy that these suits provided. If we adhere to those, we keep progressing with it. And we were doing fine up until no one even had an argument against these suits until that year.